April edition of Ask Mayor Miller is going on the road to the Mayor's State of the Community address at historic Luther Williams Field.
Great day, mate. Yeah, always. Two things I gotta do there. I can't dance. I gotta stay.
Together, we are one making. We are strong. We are nimble. We are smart, and we are ready to work together, a team for success for our whole community. A lot can happen in a year, especially when many of you stepped up to the plate as Team Macon bid.
We opened a safe and warm space for anyone in our community to stay, get the help they needed to get back on their feet, to move forward. In 2021, more than 1,000 people came through the Brookdale Resource Center. We served 57 families and cared for 158 children, helped 142 people get jobs, and 37 people get back home. More than 3,000 of you joined us in stepping up to the plate to help people in need get a fresh start at life.
We made it easier to get mental health support. In a year, we brought free services into our neighborhoods, helping more than 400 people and their families. We provided more than 1,400 hours of counseling, and more than 300 people attended our events, which included canning, knitting, and outdoor pop-up jams. We stepped up to the plate because making mental health matters.
$40 million has been allocated to help retain the people who protect our safety, to keep their experience and leadership in our community. Add to that an increase to starting pay, and we're now in a better position to attract more people to the team and to keep the best for many years to come. We're also getting a new state-of-the-art training facility to better prepare our firefighters, and we spent millions on new equipment and technology for the Sheriff's Office. We're teaming up to make our community safer.
For the first time ever, we honored and celebrated our veterans with a parade and a free concert, thanks to the Cherry Blossom Festival and Macon Bacon. We wanted to say thank you to veterans and their families for their service. It was a special day. We stepped up to the plate to make sure our community had the chance to say thank you to our veterans for serving our country.
Tourism continues to become a larger and stronger industry in our community. With the expansion of Ocmulgee Mounds National Historical Park, strong support for restaurants and stores, new and old, and so many festivals and events, it's easy to see why we were able to celebrate the opening of Hotel 45 in the heart of downtown. We stepped up to the plate to make sure we have a place people want to visit, and the hotels are stepping up to give them an amazing place to stay.
We cleaned up our community, from the smallest bits of litter to old tires, yard debris, large piles of trash, furniture illegally dumped in neighborhoods. We did it together. Departments and agencies work with our neighborhoods to keep streets clean, and then keep them clean. Hundreds of illegal dump sites cleared up, hundreds of neighborhood-led cleanups, millions of pounds of debris. We all stepped up to the plate week in and week out to show our friends and family that clean streets matter in Macon Bibb.
We have focused on removing blight and improving our neighborhoods all over the county. We've worked with multiple partners to rebuild homes, tear down blighted structures, and strengthen the enforcement of our codes. In a year, we've removed structures that increase crime, endanger children, lead to infestations, and bring down entire streets. Blight spreads when left unchecked, and we all stepped up to the plate to put a stop to it.
Together, we're revitalizing areas and expanding opportunities in our community, bringing hope back to our neighbors. We've launched a project that will change businesses and neighborhoods in West Macon and benefit our entire region. The changes coming to the Macon Mall, including a signature amphitheater, will bring more people into our community and convince others to stay. Revitalizing the Eisenhower Business District is a game-winning play.
We are continuing to recruit companies from all around the world to bring new jobs and private investment, building a stronger team Macon Bibb. Just this past year, we have seen more than 300 new jobs and more than $25 million of private investment go into the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. With MHIRJ's commitment and the Dean Baldwin Painting hangar doors officially open, we are making opportunities to make this a grand slam.
Our community is a hub of activity, with people coming here every day for work, shopping, eating, and entertainment. Many more stop here while traveling along the interstates, and they all use our roads and are protected by our public safety officers. Our community stepped up to the plate and overwhelmingly passed the OLOST, an additional penny on the sales tax that will lead to the largest single property tax reduction in our history.
Public safety is the #1 issue for people in our community. A crime in one part of Macon Bibb affects each and every one of us, no matter where we live. And that's why hundreds in our community came together to say enough is enough. To fight for homes is one, knowing it'll take each of us doing what we can, when we can, and for as long as we can. Macon Violence Prevention is guided by our community for our community. And now that we've stepped up to the plate to make our community safer, we're not stepping back until we've won the game.
Let me start by thanking the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce for hosting this great event once again. It is truly a marker in where we're going. Thank you for supporting our business community and focusing on workforce development and building our future through Leadership Macon program. Thank you to the Macon-Bibb County Industrial Authority for attracting new businesses, industries, and jobs, and for making us a hub of employment, especially at the expanding of the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. Just last week, we were able to announce our newest partner, MHIRJ, and celebrated 200 new jobs, good quality jobs for our students, right here in Macon. Last year, I asked you to join Team Macon Bibb, and many of you stepped up to the plate, either with resources or plans by simply asking, how can we help? It is amazing to see so many people willing to help, to move our community forward together. You have truly stepped up to the plate and run hard around those bases. No one in our community just can't wait. We celebrate this past year while standing at the historic Macon Luther Williams baseball field where some of the greats have played. But make no mistake, we remain focused on our future. This is more than just a single at-bat, an inning, a game. We have a lot more work to do. Our opponents, other communities, crime, perception, health factors, online commentators, commenters are all fighting against us, hoping that we won't succeed. We can high-five each other today and every day after a highlight reel like the one we just saw. But that's just 1 year, folks. 1 year. We can't just watch this nice video. We can't just celebrate all the initiatives that we had last year. We can't just sit back and relax. What we did in just 1 year should reinvigorate us to do more. What can we accomplish by building on this success and going harder, going faster, working more closely together this year? What can we do if we all focus on the goal, on the result? Not whose logo is bigger, not whose name is first on the news release, but all together. See, this isn't about me. It isn't about you. It's really not about us that sits here today. It's about them, the people who can't be here today, the people we serve each and every day, the people who benefit from work, from the ones who get the jobs in these new facilities, to the children who want a better education, to the people who get mental health services they need, to the people who find a safe home, to that family protected from violence. Go off script for just 1 second. I want all of you to be very appreciative and thankful. I see our sheriff back here today to my left. He's got that white hat on. We all know that he's had some battles and some struggles, and God has placed a challenge on him, but he's resilient. He's come back to Macon. He looks good. He's ready to work, and we're ready to work with him to make a difference in our community. So Sheriff Davis, thank you for what you do. I know there are still struggles ahead just like our community, but I want you to know that we are with you, we are praying for you, and you have our full support. So let's talk about helping our people. Let's talk about the living conditions that some of our people live in, and how we can't just turn a blind eye and pretend like it doesn't happen. I saw many of our code enforcement here today, some of our people from the health department here today, along with our sheriff's department. You know, we've had some issues with some of the apartment complexes, some of the motels in Macon-Bibb County. We all know they're there, right? Unless you drive with your eyes closed, you see them. We all know what kind of activity goes on there. We all know what kind of money they're making there. So the commission, along with myself, have decided to make this a priority as well. Our job is to legislate, and that's what we're doing. We're creating policies that are going to protect. We have done so much in the last year. We're going to do so much in the next year, but we can't do this alone. We will if we have to. There's going to be challenges ahead. We can't predict or see today, but we have identified challenges before and hit them right on. I promise you that every day, I wake up each and every day as part of Team Macon-Bibb. We're thinking about it every day on how we can best help our community. Each of you can help as well. You know the challenges we face. You know some of the hurdles that we have. You know some of the solutions that we have. If you got an idea, you have a project, let's talk about it. Let's find a way to make it happen. We can't be afraid to try something new or innovative. You think about all the things we have that we enjoy day in and day after, that we would not have if those naysayers would win and say, you can't do that. We don't do that around here. That's not possible. As I said earlier, this is more than just a game to me. It's more than just a game for us. It's bigger than that. We're not playing 9 innings and going home afterwards. This is the World Series. Yes, we'll have our setbacks, but to win the series, we must not throw in the towel. We're in this for all 7 games if needed. But I'm here to tell you, I don't intend to lose. I don't know about you, but all I do is win, win, win. And that's what we're going to do in Macon-Bibb County. I expect us to walk off this field having given everything we have and more to go home as winners. Because winners is what our community deserves. And when we walk off that field, when we walk off as a team that knows we gave it all, we supported each other, we recognize each had their highlights and their bloopers, but we're still Team Macon-Bibb. And when this country and this world's eyes are upon us, we stepped up to the plate, we showed up, and we showed out. Thank you. It's a great day to be in Macon-Bibb County. And I'll tell you one last thing. I love you, and there's not nothing you can do about it.
Just start off by telling us, or give us just a recap or a brief recap of why we're here today.
Well, today we're here to do 2 things. Number one, to celebrate the wonderful year we had in 2021, and to let people know a little bit about what's going to happen in 2022. So we're very excited about the number of people who showed up today. We wanted to share with them a little bit of our appreciation. We have a lot to be thankful for in Macon, and that's part of what I wanted to communicate today.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your plans for the revolving loan fund and what you hope that will accomplish?
Well, we want to make sure that people have a good place to live, a safe place to raise a family at. But we know that sometimes it can be challenging to get the finances. So we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get the funds they need. And it's a win-win for Macon-Bibb County. We can allow someone to borrow the money to build a home, get the financing, and that money comes right back to us. So we really never lose the money. We get to loan our money out and keep it too. So it's a very exciting way to get people the help they need and another way to grow our community.
And what's your strategy for boosting up the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful anti-litter campaign?
Well, we're going to continue to focus on education. I think we have to educate our youth. We have to put some money behind it. I think that's one big thing we do, but we also have to lead by example. We want to show our part by having the local government get involved. I think these gateways that we talked about, we put some substantial funds behind that, and people that get off the interstate are going to see that. We got to be very vigilant about it and be very resilient about it. So that's one of the things we're going to keep doing. We're going to continue to have these quarterly pickups, and we're going to get more and more people involved.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the expansion of the runway at Middle Georgia Regional Airport and what you hope that will mean for Macon-Bibb County?
Well, I'm very excited that it will. By this time next year, we'll probably have 25 to 30% of that done, and then maybe open it up by January of 2024. That's going to accomplish a lot of things. Number one, it can bring some more passenger planes to Macon-Bibb County that we can go further. It'll also allow us a chance to get more activity on that airline. We can have bigger planes come in for painting, for doing the maintenance repair on that. We're going from about 6,500 feet to 7,100 feet, which means we can bring in the big planes, which is more money for Middle Georgia and more companies we can attract.
Is there anything more you want to elaborate on about plans for Macon violence prevention in the next year?
Well, I think one thing I'm very excited about is the Community Foundation will start awarding some grants. We have 57 applications coming from the community. Over the next couple of weeks, our team is going to be reviewing those. Community Foundation will review those, and we'll start awarding some money in a very short period of time. I want to give the people a chance themselves to solve issues in their community, so we're very excited about that project, and we look forward to many, many more over the next several years.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this property tax reduction? I don't know, that might have happened before I got here. I'm just trying to cover my bases.
So last year the voters passed 80% of the voters passed an OLAS, which is an additional local option sales tax. What that does is gives us an opportunity to decide what we pay in property taxes. We expect to have a good year this year, so you collect the taxes this year because that's when it began. And in 2023, when you get your tax bill next year, people in Macon-Bibb County can expect to see a 35 to 40% reduction in their property taxes. That is the largest tax decrease that we've ever had here in our community.
Okay. And so obviously you held this last year, a year now. Can you tell me what are some of the key, resources or community organizations that help make up, all the progress within that year?
Well, I think that we'd be here all day if I try to name every partner that we have here. I'll say that the school system is a great partner of ours. We can't do anything related to Macon-Bibb County without including our school system. Certainly our internal departments have done a good job. Our faith-based community continues to be a good partner of ours, along with all the nonprofits and foundations we have. We're fortunate in Macon-Bibb County to have people who care, who want to see our community continue to grow and prosper. But to do that, it takes the whole community to do so. So we're very excited about that. We continue to build new partners each and every day. And I know this time next year we'll have even more partners and do even better things for Macon.
You mentioned the $40 million you've set aside for incentives and retention of public safety officers. You also said that you plan to hire every qualified deputy in Macon-Bibb County. So do you believe that you'll be able to bring the sheriff's office up to full complement?
Well, I think that that's always going to be a challenge. What I want people to know is money is not the issue of hiring deputies. It's having qualified people to sign up, to put in the application to want to serve our community. It's a very challenging environment, not only in Macon-Bibb County, but all across the United States to get deputies. But I keep hearing people say every time we do a new initiative, is I wish they just use that money to deputies. We will hire and we will make sure in our budget that we can afford to pay each and every deputy that comes to that door. We made a commitment to that. Public safety is our top priority, but we must have the qualified people to come and sign up. So we're continuing to work on that. Part of our incentive program we have is to keep the deputies we have. We did a 10-year program where you've been at least there 10 years, up to 25 years. You get raised, you basically get a lump sum installment every January for as long as you're with Macon-Bibb County. We've shown good signs and success so far of being able to keep the deputies we have. We had a lot less deputies leave this past year than we have in the past. That's encouraging because we must maintain the ones we have at the same time try to attract new recruits to our community.
And you mentioned schools a couple minutes ago, and that was a big part of your speech, working with schools and churches to curb violence. And how do you plan to do that?
Well, by getting them engaged, by educating them on all the processes, by making sure they know that mental health matters. That's very important to that. We want them to recognize what crime is, but we also got to give them good opportunities. We can't expect the child to walk around, see everyone else have certain things that they may want to have. They need to see hope in our community. They need to see a chance, a prospect to have not just a job, but a career. That's why the airport is so beneficial to our community. It's going to bring good quality jobs that our kids can get. We have a college and career academy that's probably second to none. We have an excellent leader there, and we're growing opportunities. But we need those parents to know that we have those jobs here in town, so they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they can get those jobs. So I think that's the most vitally important thing we can do. Kids need to see the hope in the future, and one way to do that is show them how they can earn a good living in our community, so they want to stay here, raise a family here, and stay out of trouble.
You also laid out your vision for the next year, but you presented a challenge to the citizens of Macon-Bibb County. How can they help achieve your goals?
Well, number one, we want them to be positive. We want them to spread positivity all across our community. We want them to get engaged. When we have a Clean Streets Matter campaign, we want them to sign up to help. We also want them to help us in our MVP program. We want them to look at our strategic plan. It's basically the whole community's input, not just ours. We went from every part of our community to get insight on what they wanted to do. They can apply for these grants. We set aside $2.5 million for community grants. They can go on to the Community Foundation of Central Georgia. They can submit an application. They can tell us how to solve the problems in their community, and we will fund it. No longer can someone sit behind a computer and say, I wish we could do this or I wish we could do that, because we don't have the funding. We provide them a pathway to do that, the education on how to do that, and now we're providing them the funding to help us out.
couple blight questions here. So you touched on this a little bit about the work that's going to be done on kind of these empty lots that are created. Can you break that down a little bit for me?
Sure. Part of our blight program has been focused over the last year, 156 houses to be exact, on tearing down some of these burned out houses that were near churches and schools. That's been a lot of our, and recreation centers, that's been a lot of our focus. We have a lot in the bank now. We're going to continue to do that. We have a substantial amount of money set aside to tear down these homes. These homes can't be saved. They can't be rehab. So we're looking at more innovative ways to actually rehab these houses, whether it's transferring some to the land bank. A lot of folks, instead of tearing down the houses or have properties, have asked if they could transfer those to Macon-Bibb County for a better use. We can sell these on the courthouse steps for people who want to invest. The ones that we have to tear down, we're going to create opportunity areas that people can borrow money at a low interest rate to build a home on that lot. That's important to me because it fills the gaps that we have in some of these neighborhoods. When we tear these houses down, you'll see a house and you'll have 2 or 3 gaps, and you'll see another house. We want neighborhoods, we want communities, we want families, we want to be able to keep those good schools as good community schools in the neighborhoods. And the only way to do that is to have some housing. And I'm not talking about cheap housing, I'm talking about housing that people can afford, workforce housing, homes. Maybe it's a starter home for a family that moves to a bigger and better house. But we got to make sure that we take care of that issue here. We've got the momentum going now. We're going to continue to build from last year to at least 4 years, going to build at least 2,000 new homes. And I think that's an investment in our community that people can be proud of.
Oh, sorry.
You mentioned people donating houses. Can people get a tax write-off for donating it back to the county? Or?
Well, not as far as to the county, but they certainly can donate it to an organization and get a tax write-off of that. A lot of people, when we send our 10-day letter out, we ask them, you're going to take this home down yourself? You want to consider donating that to the Land Bank Authority, or you want us to demolish the house and put a lien on the property? We've had a lot of people who are interested in actually transferring that to the Land Bank. They realize that maybe I can't keep that house up, maybe it provides an opportunity for another family, maybe they inherited it, maybe there's some dispute about who owns the property, and we can get that into a capable land bank authority that can probably repurpose that, whether it's for green space or for housing or maybe a community garden.
And then one last thing here, more blight. So last year when you announced this, how, in removing these blighted homes that you said are dangerous, how does this plan differ from what you originally had in mind a year ago?
Well, I think we have a more efficient process now. We've been through the process so far. We've had more companies that come on board now, so we can take them down a lot. I think once you get your feet wet on these areas, you can start seeing how everything ties together. We can be more efficient. I think right now we're able to do 1, 2 a day. If we need to. We know the funds are there. But we're also preventing blight at the same time. Our code enforcement is very active in the community. They're catching blight before it happens. We also have a pilot program where we're reaching out to the community as well in certain areas that we've targeted, so we can get a hold of the owners that may not have the property in their name. Maybe it's air property. Nobody can repair the property. They can't fix it up. They can't sell it. We're trying to help walk through the process so we can get into a single person's hands so they can actually make improvements to the property and also talk to them about themselves on how to pass properties down through wills and estates. So we have a multifaceted approach now. We brought more people on the team to do the work, and we have substantial funds to work with. And our code enforcement has 1 more year under their belt, because last year there was a new organization newly created by our office to make a separate department, and now they're getting fully up to speed with more people as well. Good?
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
That's a wrap for the April edition of Ask Mayor Miller. Remember, if you have a question for Lester Miller, let us know at mercerccj@gmail.com. For the Center for Collaborative Journalism, I'm Civic Journalism Senior Fellow Liz Fabian.